Hello and welcome into the KE Report. Shad and Corey here, getting an update on Thor Explorations. Thor is traded on the TSX.V under the ticker THX and on the London Exchange under the same ticker, THX, also on the OTC markets under the ticker THXPF. And we're joined today with the president and CEO of Thor Explorations, Segun Lawson. And Segun, great to get you back on the show here in 2025. When we talked last, we were talking about some of the different drilling initiatives, and we're going to get into some of the exploration because your team has been very busy on the ground, both at Segilola and at Douta. But you put out an operations report just on the 12th, and I want to dig into some of the key metrics here with you. You hit your guidance for the year, 85,000 ounces of gold poured for 2024. It looks like you're on track to do about that same amount or maybe a little more here in 2025. But a big thing that I think we should celebrate, a milestone for the company, is the full repayment of the senior debt facility with the African Finance Corporation. So now you're debt free and you have no senior debt. So that's a great place to be as a relatively newer producer. Why don't you walk us through that milestone with the company, but also give us some of the metrics for Q4?
Okay, gents. Yeah, thanks very much for having me back on again, and Happy New Year, if I could still say that. Last year, we went through some operationally challenging periods, but we're glad to have hit our revised guidance of just over 85,000 ounces. We were very pleased with that. And that was all down to a very strong Q4. Our strong Q4 was really down to the improvements we had made to the plant and operating practices we had implemented earlier in the year. So we were very happy with that. And, given the gold price environment we're in, it related and translated to a record quarter for us in terms of revenue of around about $62 million. So we were very happy with that. And it's like you say, it was a milestone quarter for us. We've paid our final debt repayment to the AFC, the Africa Finance Corporation. We've made excellent progress in terms of our accounts payable. We've transitioned from a net debt position to a net cash position at the end of Q3, and we've continued to build on that. And ultimately, it's positioned us very strongly for 2025 in terms of financial performance, if the gold price stays where it is at the moment, and in terms of operating performance. We've had a strong 2024 Q4, and we hopefully take that momentum into 2025 for hopefully the 4 quarters of this year.
So Segun, again, congratulations on now being in a net cash position for the company and continuing this production. Just even looking at 2025 guidance for costs, all-in sustaining costs, your guidance is still set at a range of between $800 to $1,000 an ounce. That means that, look, the company's going to continue to make money. The big question is, what do you do with this cash now? Do you simply build up cash reserves, or are there any big costs that are coming down the line? Anything else that we can look forward to in terms of how you might deploy this excess cash now?
So I think there are a number of areas we can speak on regarding our cash deployment. I think first and foremost, everybody's going to win if we extend the mine life at Segilola in Nigeria. Up until now, we've been doing smaller proof of concept programs, and now we're in a position to, and we are building up cash. We will be ramping up our exploration program. The next phase of the deeper drilling, which we did, which was an initial proof of concept program. And now the next phase in our exploration is kicking off a 7,500 meter drilling program, which has commenced. So we look forward to that as well. So that's the first use of cash. Secondly, we are committed to returning money to shareholders in the first half of this year. So we are working on a dividend policy and finalizing that. And hopefully we should have an update on that in the near future. And thirdly, we have a lot of exploration to do. We have exploration underneath the Segilola Mine, in and around it. We have a preliminary feasibility study we're finalizing at the moment, and in parallel carrying out exploration in Senegal. That's our Douta project. And lastly, in Q3 last year, we went into a new jurisdiction. We've got a portfolio over there we're very excited about, which has an excellent platform from which to grow. We will be looking to turn the drills there and get that to a maiden resource during the course of this year. So, yeah, there's a lot to do. We're very busy, and this is all going to be underpinned by, hopefully, like you mentioned, a strong year of production between 85,000 and 95,000 ounces.
Well, Segun, it's exciting to see you operating in three different jurisdictions now, because as you mentioned, and we've talked about this in prior episodes, the acquisition in Cote d'Ivoire, but also really pushing the Douta project forward over in Senegal. But let's dive into what you alluded to there as far as expanding the resources around Segilola. I think a lot of investors would like to see the mine life extended. Your team is working hard to do that. There's two components, the deeper drilling, which could lead to the underground scenario, but also the near mine satellite pits that could feed the beast. So talk to us about both initiatives, the deeper drilling and the satellite drilling.
Yeah, so the deeper drilling, which we kicked off in the second half of last year, we've been pleased with the results to date, with the majority of the holes intersecting mineralization at significant depths below the pit. It shows this resource is open. There is a lot of optimization to do in terms of deepening the pit before that inflection point of transitioning to an underground mine. So I think it's important to note that a lot of our constraints prior to now has been, prioritizing debt repayments, prioritizing the upgrade of the plant. Now that we are in a position with a stronger balance sheet and we can ramp up the rate at which we drill, we're looking forward to that. So that, we believe, should deliver tangible upside over the course of the year. And at some point when we draw a line in the sand, we will be looking to update the mine plan over the next however many years that we have left determined by the drilling. We also have satellite targets which have been delineated by soil geochemistry and various studies we've done over the course of the last couple of years. We do have already a number of smaller discoveries, but we're looking to scale that up as well. So all in all, we've set ourselves internal targets, which should hopefully see the mine life run for a few more years than originally planned and budgeted. And we think now we're very well positioned to implement this.
So Segun, with all this drilling, sounds like it very much is focused on extending mine life, but you did mention maybe looking at that mine plan. Once all these results are in, is there a chance that you could be increasing production? Maybe not this year in 2025, but in future years growing to that over 100,000 ounces of gold?
Look, I think first and foremost, we're constrained by the mill, and it depends. If the grade increases more, obviously we will produce more. But I think at grades of around about 3 grams per ton throughput rate, we will be around about that 100,000 ounce mark. So if the grades continue like they did in Q4, we hope to be at the upper end of guidance. And you've seen some of the drill results where we've got some really interesting intersections. If we get to higher grade areas of the pit, we can look to increase the production. If we do get to a position where we find significantly more gold, then the conversation will have to be had about increasing the capacity of throughput rate of the mills. But at the moment, around about 100,000 ounces per year is going to be the sweet spot.
Well, the good news, Segun, is that you have a growth profile in Senegal with the Douta project that's grown into quite a beast of a project. When we first started talking, it was more conceptual, but over the last few years, your team has continued to drill out and delineate the resources there, put out some economic studies at Douta. And so that could very much be mine number 2 in the engine of growth. When we talked last time, we were talking about some of the RC drilling program, trying to increase the oxide resources at Makossa East, and that runs parallel to the main Makossa structure. So give us an update of what's going on the ground at the Douta project.
Currently, drills are turning at Douta. More RC drilling is going on in parallel with our finalization of the preliminary feasibility study. We have a number of targets there that we think will continue to supply, should I say, resources to the project. But I think importantly, our milestone is the preliminary feasibility study that we want to get out next and completed. And we've had to push this back a couple of times, really, because we're doing what would be a very detailed higher spec end of the preliminary feasibility study in terms of getting real quotes. And this is not a study for academic purposes. This is a study we need to use to try and get this mine built. Like you said, it's hopefully going to be our second mine in our portfolio. And yes, we're very excited by it. We think this is a project that can deliver significant value to our shareholders.
Segun, if you could give us a little bit more insights into what we should be watching out for in this upcoming PFS. That news release says that this PFS is being finalized. You carried out some additional variability studies on the metallurgy, as also as refined some quotes from potential equipment manufacturers and contractors. What are the key aspects of this PFS that we should look for that obviously adds on to the other economic studies done at Douta earlier?
Yeah, look, I think the key aspects is, a decent mine life, certainly longer than we have in Nigeria. We're also looking at an NPV of the project that will be material to our market cap and, the total construction cost to deliver the project as well. It's something we're looking to finance without having to go out and dilute shareholders by raising equity. We have a number of financing options and a good financing partner we've just repaid. That would be an obvious avenue to investigate as well. So, yeah, those are the areas we would ask people to look at.
Well, Segun, just for people listening in that may not be familiar with the Douta project, just remind people what the resources, where they stand today.
So we have a global resource of 1.78 million ounces. That's divided about 50-50 indicated and inferred. What we'll be obviously looking at in terms of reserve is the indicated component, which is just under 900,000 ounces. We're hoping that should increase a little bit, but that's what the mine life is going to be based around.
Is there any permitting that you need to do at Douta while you are moving this forward, now de-risking with this PFS?
Yes, of course. So, one of the outputs of the PFS as well, to give the government some comfort, would be, the process flow sheet on the metallurgy, and that would be what's needed to transition from an exploration permit to a mining license.
Well, Segun, it's going to be exciting to follow along with all the progress at Douta and that PFS coming out to the market. It's going to be a big milestone again for the company on the potential for mine number 2. Let's look further afield, though, to the third jurisdiction. As we discussed in our last conversation, you wrapped up a binding agreement with Endeavour Mining to acquire 100% interest in the Guitry Gold Project. This is in Cote d'Ivoire. Now, you also have a portfolio of exploration projects here. So walk us through the ground game in the Ivory Coast.
Yes, we got on the ground late last year after putting this portfolio together. We've started doing some mapping, some soil geochemistry. We expect drills to be turning in Cote d'Ivoire next quarter. Once these drill targets are fully delineated, we're excited by what we've picked up. It was a very low-cost entry into the country, which has a great track record of success in building gold mines and discoveries over the last 10 years. So, yes, we're very excited by it. This is additional growth in our pipeline, diversified by jurisdiction and diversified by stage of development. We've set ourselves a target there of getting a maiden resource by the end of this year. So, yeah, look, we're excited by what we have there. We're excited to update the market with our progress there as well.
All right. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there for today, Segun, but a lot going on with Thor Explorations in all 3 jurisdictions, producing, developing, exploring. You're really firing all pistons, debt-free. It's been a big year in 2024 for the company, but I think you're really set up for a bigger 2025. And so if people listening in want to follow along with the news flow out of Thor Explorations, definitely click on the link below this interview. It takes you right over to the Thor website, straight to their news section, where you can sign up for updates, or you can just follow along with the news as it hits the wires. There's going to be a lot going on, Segun, so keep us posted. We'll get you back on for an update soon. And as always, looking forward to our next conversation.
Great. Thank you so much.